Hello, I am FONDZEWONG Anslem, and I am going to be taking you today in computer programming. And the lesson for today is programming in C language. So the objectives of our lesson today will be to be able to explain the different parts of a basic C program, the different components of a C program, and we should also be able at the end of this lesson to write some simple C programs in our source code editor. To ensure that we are on a good footing, it is primordial and very important for us to begin with the general structure of a C program. This is it that we have on the board here, and we see we have numbered the lines so that we can easily explain. So we'll begin with line 1. Line 1, you see, the C program generally starts with what we call the preprocessor directives. These are instructions that are executed by the preprocessor before the program execution actually begins. Preprocessor directives, we are going to see it in an example. After the preprocessor directives, we have now what we call the global declaration. What is a declaration? Declaration is simply the reservation of some space in memory where we are going to store our variables. So when we say the declaration is global, it means that we are reserving the variables we store as global variables can be accessible by anywhere in the program. So they are global. Later on, we are going to see what we call local variables. So now, after the global declaration, that is variables that we want to be accessible in the whole program, we have now in our third line, we have the main function. This main function should always appear the way it is. It simply indicates the entry point of our program, that is where the program execution will actually begin. And immediately after the main function, we have a brace, line 4, and the brace closes in line 9. So in C, we use braces to place a sequence of instructions together. That's block to delimit a block of instructions. You see, the braces are used to delimit a block of instructions. So wherever you see we open a brace in C programming, we have to make sure that we have closed the brace, else you would generate a syntax error. We are going to see all of those things. And now line 5 now, you see the declaration of local variables. Here we had a declaration of global variables accessible in the entire program, whereas the local variables are variables that are accessible only in the main function. You see, so all the variables we declare here are only accessible inside these braces, inside this block, as opposed to these other variables which can be accessible by maybe any other program, any other function that is built out of the main function. Now, after the local variable declaration, we have now on line 6, we have the statements. These are the instructions that we may use in our program. So, and of course, we can have functions. We can write functions that are going to be invoked. So at this level, line 7 indicates function invocation. And finally, we said line 3 was the entry point of the program. That is where program execution begins. And so line 8, of course, indicates the end, return 0. Return 0 is just the exit point of our program. So now, for us to understand exactly what this skeleton is, it is very important for us to take an example that is going to relate us to this skeleton so that we can understand better. So for that reason, we are going to write a simple C program. Like in any other programming language, the first and the most basic program to write is always the program to say hello world. So we are going to write our first C program to say hello world. So now we are going to take this simple example, the simple hello world program. So the essence of this program is simply to output hello world to the user. So we are going to make links with the basic structure of a C program, so that we may get to understand better. So we see in the basic structure, we said we have to begin with preprocessor directives. So line 1 and 2 here are preprocessor directives. What do we mean? Preprocessor, it means these are instructions that are supposed to be executed before the actual program execution. And here we see we have hashtag include stdio. This stands for standard input output library. So a library in C is just a collection of already written functions that we may be called to use in our program. So we have two of the libraries imported here. We have the standard input output library and we have the standard library, so which have been imported. So when we include these libraries now, we are able to use some predefined functions that have already been written, like the printf function, the scanf function, the get functions that we are going to see subsequently in our lessons. So immediately after the preprocessor directives, generally if we have global variables, we declare them. But here we have no global variable, we are not manipulating variables now, so we have no global variable. And of course you see in line 3 corresponds to line 3 here. Oops. So line 3, the main function, of course, as I said, it is the entry point of our program. It means the program execution begins here. It would always appear. But as compared to what we had here, you see an int here. This int here stands for integer. Okay, it shows that this program is going to return an integer. It's going to end with the return of an integer. So after the main function, we see our opening brace on line 4, and as we said, the braces are used to delimit a block of instructions. So now we have our first instruction here, which is printf hello world. What is actually this line 5? This line 5 is what we are going to display on the screen. The printf function is a predefined function in C which displays something on the computer screen. So when we say printf hello world, you see the hello world is in double quotes. It means that this statement hello world is going to be displayed on the screen. That is it. So on our screen, when we execute this program, we are going to have something like hello world. Okay, if you look critically, you see there is a /n here. This, you see, it will not appear on the screen because this /n is simply to a literal which says move to the next line. It means that after writing hello world, the cursor will not remain at this position. It is going to be blinking rather on the next line. That is the essence of this anti/n. And of course, you see the instruction ends with a semicolon. Very important. You see, with a semicolon. All instructions in C language end with semicolons. If you omit a semicolon, your compiler is going to identify a syntax error and your program will not work. Now we coming to the line 6 now. Line 6 is always in union with the return 0 line is always in union with the int main. So I said int main meant that the program is going to return an integer. So you see here when we have return 0, 0 is an integer to show that the program has successfully ended. So when we have the return of an integer, we are sure that our program is working well. And of course we have the closing brace. So this is a basic C program to say hello world, and when we type this program in our source code editor, we are going to have this output that we have on our screen here. So that was it for our lesson of today. As we initially said, the objective for this lesson was to be able to identify the basic parts or the basic components of a C program and to write a simple program, a simple C program like what we have on the board here, which is a C program to say hello world to the user. So in the subsequent lessons, we are going to take more concrete and complex examples which will call us to use more functions in C language. That was all we had for you today. See you in our next video. Bye bye.